Hello and welcome to Shelf Centered. Appreciate you coming back. It's seriously been a blast doing this. I'll get right into this nice, fun review of Recursion. Of course, it's an audiobook. That's like half of what I do, if not more, anymore. Probably one of my favorite books of the year so far. I know I didn't add it onto my list, but it wasn't definitely not in the bottom or my top 10 list. It's not at the bottom. It was, I think, just outside of even the my honorable mentions that I gave. It's a really good one. One of the great things about Recursion, it's kind of similar. The similar good thing about Recursion and Dark Matter, which is another one by Blake Crouch, also a great read, highly recommended. They're standalone. They're not extremely long. They're both, well, literally in the 10-hour range. Recursion looks like a little bit longer. They're read by great narrators. In fact, I'm looking at it here. It's the same male narrator as for Recursion as for Dark Matter, but in in Recursion, it's Abby Craden does the female parts, whereas John Linstrom is the male parts, and also the same one as Dark Matter. And so those are the good parts. The reading, the narration is seamless. You almost don't notice it's there, and that's one of my favorite parts about a good narrator. You almost don't notice it's there. They just get right into it, read it very well. Recursion itself, again, kind of the similarities to Dark Matter, because I feel like that's one of the first things people start bringing up. Dark Matter and Recursion, both kind of these crazy concepts, kind of like a what if concept, and then taken to like this ridiculous degree. And Blake Crouch, I feel like, does a wonderful job of taking things to this like insane level. And because I remember there was a point in Dark Matter, reading that a couple years ago, where I remember just going, what the heck, how did this happen? So and it was kind of a similar thing with Recursion, though not as like stark, not as strong to me, but still like this, holy crap, this is way more implications than you start out with. And you kind of start out with it's kind of just, and again, the similarities between Dark Matter and Recursion are you start out kind of an individual. It's only going to affect, this one person's life, and then suddenly it's actually, this is, much bigger. Anyway, so I'll jump into Recursion itself, stop comparing it to Dark Matter. Again, both very good. Recursion is, so essentially there's this weird phenomenon that's starting to happen in that this thing called false memory syndrome. I had to look it up. They call it FMS the whole time. And it's kind of making people crazy because they're like remembering this other life that it feels real, but it's kind of almost like dimmed or denuded somehow, and nobody knows why, nobody knows what's going on, but it's causing people to literally you'll miss the things in that other life. I mean, and I think there's even a new show that's coming out, like Ordinary Joe or something like that. It's about like what would have happened had you taken this alternative course of life. And again, that's kind of a similar idea of what Dark Matter does. But anyway, but with this one, it's more, what if you could, you suddenly, what if you had a child during that time and you were close to said child, because of course you would be, and you suddenly, it becomes like this hazy memory, but it's still there, and you're like, wait, I have a connection to this child that I don't have, and the child doesn't even exist anymore. So kind of, I don't know if anyone's read Replay by Ken Grimwood. There's some similarities to that one I won't get into. Essentially, so you've got this Barry Sutton. He's this New York City cop. He's trying to investigate. Something happened on his watch, and he's going, what the heck's happened? He kind of is following these leads. It's a detective story. He's finding out, like, oh, there's some weird stuff kind of happening, and kind of goes down that road. At the same time, you have this neuroscientist, Helena Smith, and she gets kind of offered this big, huge offer of like, hey, you get to do your dream project that you always wanted to do. We'll pay you all this money on top of it. You get to do the science that you want to do. It'll be great. You just have to come and do your science in this weird, isolated place and not tell anyone about what you're doing or anything like that. So Helena herself, she has parents with, this issue with is it Alzheimer's or dementia, something, a memory issue, which is why she's dedicated her life to this. And so something along those lines, and so she wants to do this and make it so we don't lose our memories. And so essentially she does, she gets there, and her beautiful, science works, and they're able to actually kind of go back into memories and kind of relive some things. But the problem in this one is it used the right way? Is it used in a way that's going to help people, or is it going to be used as a weapon to hurt people? And of course, that's the thing. I didn't want to get too close. If you dive down that crazy rabbit hole, you'll get into some crazy spoilers. So what I liked about this is that there is this kind of ethical dilemma to this, as I was kind of alluding to there before. It's almost like, what if you're able to do this and and prevent some horrific accident from happening? Do you owe the world that? Well, what if preventing that accident then allows for a Hitler type to be born and then survive, or whatever, who wouldn't have survived? And anyway, so it's all just this, like, goes to it goes to this crazy implications of that, and I like that it really does make you think, and again, in a pretty short, quick way. The problem is I want to get into kind of more detail, but I hesitate to do so. Maybe I can do like a full spoilers review or something if anyone cares to see that, but or talk about that. I am still kind of figuring out how to do my reviews the best way that I want to, because I think a lot too depends on the comment section. Just like Dark Matter, it's pretty powerful. It's gut punching. It's fast paced. It's fun. It's exciting. You get from one stage to the next quite quickly, and you're never bored for even a second. And it's thoughtful. It makes you think of all these moral implications, while at the same time being action packed. There, is a bad guy, and maybe that's what takes away from it too. But at the same time, it's great. There's a great bad guy, and it's recommended. It was a lot of fun for me. I'll keep picking up Blake Crouch's stuff. One of the things, maybe I got to talk about my crazy stuff that I like to read, but it's called Dracula's, with 3 other authors. It's nuts, it's bonkers, and highly recommended. That's where I started with Blake Crouch, and so that was well before he kind of became, Wayward Pines and all this stuff, kind of big stuff. But I will be following Blake Crouch. They're easy, and the thing is, they're just easy to fit in between a series or something like that. You can just dive in, jump in to it, like we're always doing right here on BookTube, jumping into things. So overall, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I think, yeah, we'll go with 7 out of 10. It's not, I didn't like it as much as Dark Matter, but it's still up there, barely below it probably. In quality, really just the story, I think I just didn't gel with as much as Dark Matter, but still quite a bit. It's still really good. Now, without further ado, since I've been slacking on this, our fantasy mispronunciation of the day is Nynaeve, which is how I first pronounced Nynaeve, which I learned in listening to the audiobooks that's how it's actually pronounced. Anyway, extra points in the comments for where these are from. This one's, I think, an easy one, I would imagine, for most. And let me know how you pronounce things if you can in the comments, or your own things, your own videos. That'd be great. I want to keep doing these because I'm going to really slaughter a lot of things very quickly. So thanks for joining me. Appreciate your time, as always, and we'll see you next time.